Hey boss, the clowns ate my Jax's deck in the game nights tonight. Do you have a deck I can borrow? Oh, hi Gabby! How have you been? I haven't seen you around that often. I'm fine. What? This is a video, isn't it? Yep. And a convenient one too. It's a deck tech. Huh. If I didn't know better, I'd think you planned this. What? No, you think I would contrive this entire skit and video in order to show off one of my performers? That's just silly. You see, it's that sort of thing that makes me so— Good evening, darlings and deviants. My name is Lucy, and I'm just a little loony. Magic is a pretty expensive hobby sometimes, huh? Packs are almost $8 now. Some singles are going for almost $90, and that's just a standard single. Even commander precons are getting a bit more expensive now. So what's a planeswalker to do in this day and age? Well, with a little bit of creativity, we can make a really cool commander deck for under $50. Today, I'm going to show you my budget Vannifar Evolved Enigma deck, Enigmatic Inventions. Without further adu, let's start the show. So Vannifar Evolved Enigma is the head of this machine, but what does she do? Well, she's 2, a blue, and a green for a 3/4 elf ooze wizard, typical Simic creature types. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you can choose one. Cloak a card from your hand. That means it becomes a colorless 2/2 creature with ward 2 that we can flip face up by paying its mana cost as long as it's a creature, or we can put a +1/+1 counter on each colorless creature we control. While we could build around the face down creature plan, some of the cards that work with that whole mechanic are a little bit pricey and it's a little too complicated to build, so we're focusing mainly on the second ability. Alright, I'm following you, but how are you going to get colorless creatures without that ability? I'm glad you asked, Gabby. First off, can you read this paper for me? If you want to evolve too, be sure to subscribe. It really helps us out and keeps this show on the road. What's this have to do with making dudes? Let me show you. See, the thing is, a lot of artifact creatures are colorless, and a lot of them make tokens. And hey, those tokens are colorless too. Ain't that convenient? However, they normally cost a ton of mana, and that makes it a bit harder to play consistently. But we're in Simic colors, so the secondary plan of this deck is to ramp, and then ramp some more. Between all of our extra mana and our horde of robotic soldiers that Vannifar is constantly improving upon, we'll win the day in no time. So our first big plan is to assemble our army of robotic warriors. We have a whole host of creatures in here for this. First up, we have Maul Splicer, Wing Splicer, Vital Splicer, and Ictekic Salvage Splicer. All 3 of these creatures give us a 3/3 colorless Phyrexian golem when they come into play, and each offer a different benefit to all of those golems. Wing Splicer gives flying, Vital Splicer lets us pay 1 to regenerate a golem, Maul Splicer gives them all trample along with giving us an extra golem when they come into play, and Ictekic gives himself and every golem we have an extra counter whenever any artifact is put into the graveyard. Yep, that even includes your opponent's artifacts. That Dockside Extortionist ain't looking too good now, is it? We also have Threefold Thunderhulk and Mere Battlesphere. The Mere Battlesphere is huge and won me my very first Commander game ever, so anytime I can squeeze it into a deck, you know I'm gonna do it. And Threefold Thunderhulk is a monster alongside Vannifar. Being able to buff not only the tokens these boys come out with, but also being able to get more tokens out of the Thunderhulk to either sack or buff him up, or to buff with Vannifar next turn, makes this whole thing a well-oiled machine. Finally, we have some big, beefy creatures to keep the buff train a-going. Chief of the Foundry gives all of our artifacts +1/+1. Deep Fathom Skulker is technically colorless and gives us a way to make our creatures unblockable and to draw cards, and Darksteel Juggernaut may only know how to fight, but it's indestructible, so that doesn't matter too much. Alright, I'll admit, that's pretty sweet, even though it's not red. What do we do here if we're losing? Plan A is honestly to just not lose. Plan B though. So as it turns out, a lot of opponents don't like being invaded by Terminators, who to thunk. So we'll probably need to respond to what they're doing at some point. Luckily, we have plenty of on-theme ways to do that. Perplexing Test is perfect for us because it not only gives us the option to bounce our opponent's threatening creatures, it can leave our token army behind and charge on in. Filter Out helps us deal with pesky enchantments and artifacts that are giving us trouble. And Cosmium Confluence can not only ramp us, but it can also make us a colorless creature or blow up some enchantments. The real standouts to me in terms of removal are Access Denied and Launch Mishap. They're both counterspells, with Launch Mishap being a bit more narrow with only being able to counter creatures or planeswalkers, like commanders are, I'm just saying. But they both give you Thopters that you can then upgrade with Vannifar to swing on in for a lot of damage. Finally, we have Null Mage Shepherd. It's 3 and a green for a 2/4 Elf Shaman that can tap 4 untapped creatures to destroy an artifact or enchantment. Since we'll be doing more mass production than Insert Corporation here, and more mass destruction action than seas, we'll have plenty of creatures to use this effect. Finally, we need cards, and we need lands to play those cards. So let's ramp and draw some cards. We have a whole suite of ramp spells like Rampant Growth, Kadama's Reach, Cultivate, you know, all of the regular stand-ins. But alongside them, we have Solemn Simulacrum and Scampering Surveyor. They both help us get basic lands to ramp with, and are artifact creatures who can get buffed. As for card draw, well, we have cards like Tatiova and Shimmer Dragon who draw us cards as we just kind of sort of, you know, play the game, with Tatiova getting us cards based off land drops, and Shimmer Dragon letting us tap artifacts to draw cards. We also have Biden of Thassa and Thopter Spy Network, cards that draw us more cards whenever we deal damage. Research Thief is also amazing in this place because it lets us draw cards at instant speed even if it's not colorless. We also, as most token decks do, have an Idol of Oblivion to draw cards as long as we bait a token every turn. And the giant Eldrazi token it makes is colorless, so it gets buffed by Vannifar. Finally, I have one card that's, I'll be real, it's just kind of bad, but I saw it and I had to put it in because it's just so fun, I had to. It's Serpent Generator. For 6 mana, you get an artifact that you can pay for and tap it to put a 1/1 poison snake into play that, when it deals damage to a player, that player gets a poison counter. It's not poisonous, it's not infect, it's not toxic, it's just a poison counter. I'll be real, this is inefficient. There's better cards that you could use to make colorless tokens. There's probably like a one that costs less mana or one that has less mana to activate, but like killing someone with the poison counters from these snakes sounds amazing. I know there's probably a million better options for this slot, and if you want, swap it out for anything that makes colorless tokens or, you know, what strikes your fancy. But personally, this one just seems hilarious to me, and I like playing cards that make me smile. Well, Gabby, how's that deck work for my favorite angelic acrobat? Are you sure this isn't a big excuse to put me in a video so people know I exist? I'll keep it real with you, Gabs. I saw you walking up and was about to hit record and I just sort of panicked. Huh. Respect, I guess. Very on the nose. Plus, this deck was super cool and seems fun, so I wanted to share it with you. Thanks. It's not red, so I'm definitely going to exaggerate how much I hate playing it, but I'll probably have fun. Thanks? Don't you have a video to finish? Oh, right. Thanks, Gabby. Have fun at game night. No promises, boss. This Vannifar deck is super cool, and for less than 50 bucks, it's pretty cheap. Heck, you might even be able to put a lot of it together if you've picked up some of the Simic precons from the last couple of years. Down in the description is the deck list, and whether you play it or not, let me know what you think down in the comments below. Oh, and if you like this, check out this playlist right here. I talk about a bunch of commanders pretty frequently around here, so if any of these catch your eye, check them out. As always, thank you all so very much for watching, and until next time, au revoir!